So we are set to kick off game number 2 in the AD2L Season 9 Championship
Dire
game
team
between
ban.
Firestarter and Trial and Error.
Radiant team ban.
So right away you have Firestarter and Trial and Error
Dire
both kicking
team
it
ban.
off with the same exact bans as the previous game. So you have Doom, you have Tusker. Let's see the Alchemist. There's the Alchemist. Let's see the Winter Wyvern. There's the Winter Wyvern. So we're starting out the exact same way as game 1. And if we want to keep things going the same, let's see if Firestarter pick up the Wind Ranger. Huh? Are we going to have a repeat of game 1? I have it from reliable sources that here in game 2, you're going to see some unique drafting coming out from Firestarter.
10 seconds remaining.
In order to keep their opponent on their toes and guessing.
5
So
seconds
we'll see how they mix it up here. I'm not going to pretend to guess, but they are going to start
Radiant
off with a
team
Dazzle. Dazzle, one of those heroes that can work in any lineup. He has the ability to slow enemy heroes. He has the ability to heal his allies. He adds armor to your team, reduces armor to the other team. And of course, last but certainly not least, is Shallow Grave, the ability to provide 5 seconds of immortality to your allies.
5 seconds remaining.
That's going to be a potent spell for any hero.
Reserve time.
Specifically, those heroes that like to walk along the razor's edge between life and death. So, I would actually like to see Firestarter pick up a Husker, who is known for that near-death thrill ride. And this time it's Trial and Error who are going to be playing the Slardar. So they're starting things off with a stun themselves, as well as
10 seconds remaining.
Some armor mitigation spells to go up against the weave.
Team pick.
We are seeing a lot of the same heroes from game 1, only this time it's Trial and Error stealing the heroes away from Firestarter. So they may have said, you know what works good? Slardar and Lich together. Let's take those heroes ourselves and see if we can replicate Firestarter's performance and take a win.
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
And so far that is what they're going to do, but I don't think Firestarter mind too much. I anticipate they were not planning on picking up the Slardar Lich combo this go around, as they had planned on mixing up the draft strategy. So you have the Dazzle pickup in the first overall pick, but going back to the well and getting Wind Ranger here again for game 2. So, but here in game 2, I missed it in the lobby. There is going to be a substitution. So you have Dorelius stepping into the lineup for Team Firestarter, and Amy stepping out. So you're gonna have a slightly different Firestarter lineup this go around.
Radiant team ban.
Firestarter deciding that the Witch Doctor was annoying to them and banning him out for 3rd overall. I don't know if Witch Doctor is really worthy of a ban, but they decide it is, so we will not be seeing it here in game 2. We will also not be seeing the Shadow Fiend played by Angel Wrath once again. So even though he had a bit of a difficult time, chuckling at the chat here, even though he struggled a little bit there in the middle lane, the laning phase, he held a gold advantage over the Wind Ranger. by farming up the neutral camps and keeping himself
Reserve time.
in the mix until the heavy rotations from Firestarter just completely choked out the farming lanes that were available to Trial and Error. Trial and Error banning out the Phoenix, so they're going to keep with the same
Radiant
ban
team
structure
pick.
until their 4th ban, when they decide that ABC's Earthshaker was
Dire team pick.
just a headache to them, and they ban him out. So they won't be picking the exact same lineup as Firestarter's Game 1 team, but they're getting pretty close to it, as their 3rd pick is going to be the Gyrocopter. So they are 2 heroes away.
10
They need to pick
seconds
up
remaining.
an Earthshaker and
5 seconds
the Wind
remaining.
Ranger. But those 2 are not going to be available to them, as they've banned out the
Reserve time.
Earthshaker, and Wind Ranger has already been picked up by Firestarter. I see in Twitch chat there's some flack being shot over the heads of Trial and Error for not using their team name, and I tell you what, I'll substitute in. Yeah, let's see if I can do it real quick in production on the fly.
Radiant
And I'll
team
add an
pick.
image of my own for them. Let's do this. There you go.
Remaining.
They get a little Darmin logo
5
for the draft
seconds
screen.
remaining.
So meanwhile, while I'm playing with
Reserve time.
my overlays here and giving Trial and Error a proper logo,
Skywrath
some of the final picks have been coming out here
Dire
as
team pick.
Firestarter pick up the Clockwork, eating through most of their reserve time, and Trial and Error picking up the Skywrath Mage. And that may have been a defensive pick on the Skywrath Mage, as he is known to combo extremely well with the Clockwork. You get the hook shot into the cogs, and then you drop down the
10
Mystic Flare from the
seconds remaining.
Skywrath Mage and just obliterate whoever's caught inside of those cogs.
5 seconds remaining.
But with the stun coming out from Slardar, it's not a bad offensive
Reserve
tool
time.
on the side of Trial and Error either. Amisma confirmed hired gun of Team Firestarter is what's being called here. And we'll see if that is the case here. If Firestarter lose game 2, then I guess it's confirmed. It's all Amisma,
10 seconds remaining.
or Amy, if you will,
5 seconds
who
remaining.
did have an excellent game 1 playing the Wind Ranger, blinking
Zeus.
around, catching heroes out with that shackle shot and dropping them before they had a
Radiant
chance to
team
respond. But Firestarter picking up one of my current favorite heroes in 685, and a hero I think is grossly underutilized in the competitive scene, and that is Zeus. So
10
he has
seconds
the ability
remaining.
to just spam spells, especially that Arc Lightning, and when you combine it
5
with Static
seconds
Field,
remaining.
it starts to reduce the health of the opposing team by 11%
Reserve
per
time.
cast. And so you're dropping it by 11%
Dire
once every
team back.
1.75 seconds. I personally like to pick up the Octarine Core, which drops that Arc Lightning time down even further, and you're pretty much just spamming Arc Lightning. And once they get low, you Thunder God's Wrath, and everybody
10
on the
seconds
opposing team
remaining.
just explodes.
Radiant team pick.
Not only that, but it does provide the ability to reveal invisible units, as well as wards with a lightning bolt, providing true sight in an area around the lightning bolt target. So it relieves some of the pressure. I personally play Zeus as a mid laner, as a core hero, and it relieves some of the pressure from your 4th and 5th role support players, as they don't have to purchase nearly as many sentry wards. They spot out wherever
Reserve time.
opposing hero drops an observer ward, and then they just ping it out for the Zeus, who goes and takes care of it once he's available to do so.
Ember Spirit.
Dire team pick.
Trial and Error deciding they're going to pick up the Ember Spirit. And so I'll have to bust out the notebook here and take notes as to how to play a proper Ember Spirit, as I'm sure Angel Wrath is going to put forth a better effort than I am. It looks like Zeus is not going to be played in a core role here, as you have Klars being assigned the role of Slark, so I suspect we'll see the Slark in the safe lane. Kupo playing the Wind Ranger, so we'll likely see him mid. And then Magma, the offlaner, picking up the core Clockworks. They're going to have a position for Zeus, being played by ABC. And in the middle, you're going to have Angel Wrath playing the... There he is. He was hiding behind the gyrocopter, playing the Ember Spear. So I'm curious to see how he does with that Ember Spirit. Checking out some of these couriers real quick. I'm going to judge which team wins game 2 based off of which courier I think is better. So over here on the Radiant, you have the bug monster looking courier. Not too bad. And then once again for Team Firestarter, you have the snail with the boots of travel bungee corded to his head. You never see those boots of travel come into play though. Why can't a courier teleport? Looks like you have the deep ward coming out from Magma here.
30 seconds to battle.
Trial and Error playing it safe and bringing nearly the whole team into this bottom lane and slowing down Magma. They're going to look to make a go of it here. Magma's forced to use the cogs, and it traps him with the Skywrath, and he's looking to get to the side shop and pick up a scroll, which he does. He's looking to teleport out, but Boomer's there, and he's going to drop the first Slytherin Crush of the game, and it's going to secure Trial and Error first blood? Question mark? Magma's making a run for it, and he pops the cogs, forcing out 2 heroes, but they trap him inside the cogs with Rainmaker and an active rocket barrage. So it's first blood going the way of Team Trial and Error now. And so it looks like the Bug Courier is going to grant first blood to Trial and Error. And I'm going to say it's going to be game 1 for them, or game 2 heading the way of Trial and Error, based on courier looks and first blood alone. I will hopefully get into introductions here once there's a small break in the action here, but Duralius and Kupo making a rotation against Boomer, and they're going to secure the second kill of the match as Allison rotates over to the side shop and teleports 10 feet away to the safety of the tier 1 tower in the top lane. So, going through... I was wrong about the lineup here. Going through introductions real quick. You have Zephyr playing the support Skywrath Mage down here in the bottom lane. In the mid lane, playing the Ember Spirit, you have Angel Wrath. Rainmaker doing a barrel roll himself on the gyrocopter here in the safe lane, going up against Magma's Clockwork. Top lane, you have some fights going on here over the neutral camp as both Boomer and Allison are making it go onto the Dazzle here. But Boomer's going to eat a Shackle Shot and a little bit of right-click harassment damage from Kupo and Duralius. Duralius getting low, and Allison looks like he's going to be caught out here and eventually
Dire's
dropped
middle
by the
tower
Wind
is under
Ranger.
attack.
Brief pause on the action's going to give me time to kick off my overlays. Upsign playing around with some of Moobot there. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, you have the Rocket Barrage coming out from Rainmaker as he chases down Magma's Clockwork once again. So, finishing off with introductions here, you have Allison on the Lich, to the side of Team Firestarter. You have Duralius playing the Dazzle. Playing a support Wind Ranger is going to be Kupo, who's hanging out here in the top lane with his buddy Slark being played by Klars as they go back and forth with the Slardar and the Lich. Slark rocking the cool Barb of Scotty and a massive 42,352 essence shifts stolen by Slark over time. So that is a cool looking cosmetic weapon there. I like that. In the mid lane, and playing, not sure why that came up, and playing a Core Zeus is going to be ABC 123, who for the time being is opting for 0 points into the static field, going entirely into Arc Lightning and Lightning Bolt. Hoping to have that raw horsepower to burn through the Flame Guard of Ember Spirit, which of course is dissipated once he takes a certain level of magical damage. At level 3, which it's currently at, that's 350, which is going to take both a Lightning Bolt and an Arc Lightning to burn through. And last but not least, for Firestarter is going to be Magma, playing the Clockwork, sporting the Immortal Rocket over his shoulder there. We have Duralius and Kupo continuing to drag stacks into the ancient camp here, but Boomer's aware of it, as is Allison, and so they go over to steal as much experience and possible last hits as they can. Allison and Duralius going back and forth there, harassing one another. But through all of this, I think it's going to be Klars who comes out the victor in terms of last hits. Now he's looking to last hit Boomer as he jumps forward and right clicks. If he had hit one more last hit, or one more right click, would have been enough, but ultimately it doesn't matter as Kupo's able to land a Shackle Shot that doesn't latch but stuns for just long enough for her to Wind Run into range to get the final right click off. So a bit of bob and weave coming out from Firestarter there to secure that kill against the Slardar. As we approach the 6-minute mark, you have Zephyr looking to control this bottom rune, but Kupo popping a Clarity is going to help ABC secure the top rune. So might have a bit of a challenge here between Magma and Zephyr, but Magma's not afraid of little Skywrath
Dire's
Mage.
middle tower is under attack.
So for Ember Spirit, oh, missed some of the action here in the top lane as the debut of the Zeus ult is going to come out. And it's a 2-for-1 exchange in this top lane as they're able to kill the Slardar and the Lich in exchange for the Dazzle. And Slark able to make his way to the safety of the side shop there. He's not quite level 6, so he doesn't have Shadow Dance and the regenerative abilities to go along with it, but he did have a healing salve, so he's going to be sitting at full health here going into
Radiant's
level
top
6.
tower is under attack.
being told my assessment of the couriers is wrong. But I'll assess Magma's chances of getting away from the Skywrath call-down combination to be minimal, and that I will be right on, as he falls victim to that slowing combination between the Skywrath and the Gyrocopter, who now look to use this space to apply some pressure to the Tier 1 tower. Shackle being shot off by Kupo, but it does not shackle. Or it doesn't latch, I should say. So he's going to be able to get to safety. Allison rotating deep behind enemy territory, looking to maybe harass Kupo to death, but it's not going to be there. So both teams just kind of feeling each other out here in this top lane so far. And the Slithering Crush slightly off the mark as Klaris is able to turn his back and leap away. But Allison is committing here as he dives behind the Tier 1 tower and commits the Frost Blast and gets the kill. But a big heal bomb coming out from Aurelius, and the creep wave surrounding Lich is going to make it a 1-for-1 trade. And Kupo has teleported to the lane, launching off a shackle shot, and though it does latch, the right-click capabilities of the two support heroes aren't going to be enough. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Firestarter did lose Magma once again, and that currently puts him at 0-4 in this off lane, as Rainmaker's starting to get quite a bit of net worth behind him, as he's sitting at 3-0, as well as doing fairly decent on the last hits, leading the game at 49 last hits with 16 denies. So definitely coming out to the victor in his lane, and he's got so much time, he's even stacking the camps for himself. That one is going to be slightly off the mark because of some of the stragglers there. Top lane, you have combat breaking out. ABC has rotated away from the middle lane here, and it's a 1-for-1 trade so far as Slardar commits to killing the Wind Ranger, but the big ult coming out from ABC is going to be enough to turn the tables and drop Slardar as well. Battle of the Fish in the top lane, as it's pointed out to me. You have Klars playing the Slark, not only a Slark, but a fish monster who's strapped additional fish parts to him in the form of those cosmetics. He's got the shark fin and the shark head cosmetics.
Radiant's bottom tower
versus
is under attack.
Slardar, who is just a big fish himself. And so you're gonna have some fish on fish crime here. Slardar can catch up,
under attack.
but he's still a ways away from the Blink Dagger here, so he's not going to be able to catch up to a Slark, who also has the Shadow Dance bonus movement speed. ABC sitting on an invisibility rune here, so they're going to try to bait Klars out. He does make a go on Kupo here, gets off the Slithering Crush, but he's tethered in place, and between the big hits coming out from ABC and the power shot from Kupo, it's going to be enough to drop Slardar where he
Radiant's
stands.
top tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, Clockwork died to neutral creeps, didn't see where that was at. Apparently, it was deep within enemy territory here, and it's pinged out by light blue. By the Clockwork, who said, I died right here,
fortified.
so almost as if he
Radiant's
was
top tower
listening
is
to
under
the cast
attack.
here in real time, but I know that's not the case because I have a pretty strong delay on it. And he's saying, hey, it was right over here, I died to that massive stack, so he's probably just pointing out the fact that there's multiple neutral stacks in place in the
Radiant's top
jungle
tower
there.
has fallen.
So he does fall, but
Dire's bottom
not
tower
much
has fallen.
going the way of trial and error because of just a little bit of downtime. But trial and error are going to benefit from his death by applying pressure to this bot lane, taking the tier 1 tower and then into the tier 2 tower. They're going to catch Lich as trial and error look to make a retreat, but the call down is going to be enough to slow down Firestarter from catching up to the Gyrocopter And it's heavy rotations coming out from Firestarter as they head into this bottom lane. Committing all 5 heroes into the bot lane. And they may catch out Rainmaker here, who does not have call down. He's going to be hooked by Magma, and then the leap from Klars and the focus fire from Koopa is going to be enough to bring him down. But ultimately, it's the Zeus who commits his ultimate for the ultimate and kill steal technology. And Zephyr making the rotation himself is going to run into ABC and Aurelius, who combo together and secure a double kill for the Zeus. Meanwhile, in the enemy jungle, it's Kupo and I believe Klars who had caught out the Lich and secure a 3rd kill for themselves. So it's a 3-for-0 exchange favoring Firestarter after they lost their tier 1 tower and committed all 5 heroes to this bottom lane. After such a heavy rotation, you think Trial and Error would just say, you know what, we lost the Lich, but we gained the tower, so let's back up, retreat, and call it a day. Meanwhile, there's a big rhombus, I'm going to use some fancy words here, drawn on the jungle here, but before we get to that, it looks like Rainmaker's going to zone out Firestarter here with yet another defensive call down, and Firestarter are going to back off to the safety of their tier 1 tower and not risk throwing away some of the advantages that they just gained. So yeah, there was a giant section of the map drawn on by Rainmaker, as he said. Hey guys, they own the entirety of this jungle, and you can see with all of the offensive wards placed, that is not far from the truth. They're everywhere for Team Firestarter. They're even dewarding the enemy's defensive wards. So right now, you can see 4 heroes from Firestarter hanging out in their own jungle, farming up multiple stacks, and they're also able to head into the enemy jungle at will. Some questions about the lineup from Team Firestarter, and again, it was Amy who was playing in game 1 as the middle hero, playing the mid Wind Ranger, and Amy was replaced by Dorelius, who was playing the Dazzle, and the middle duties were taken over by ABC. Engelrath has finished his Boots of Travel. You can see he has some Fire Remnants here in defensive positions, so he's going to apply a little pressure to this tower and then jump back to a Fire Remnant. With the Boots of Travel, it allows him to throw out a Fire Remnant, head back to base, refill his bottle, tap into his bottle to get full health and full mana, and then jump back to his Remnant and not miss much downtime in the lane. So that right there is why Boots of Travel are an essential item on Ember Spirit, just as much so as it is on like a Tinker. You have a smoke coming out from Trial and Error here as they rotate into the enemy jungle. Boomer popping the sprint and looking to close as much distance as possible. You have Kupo, who's rotating into a dangerous position, but it looks like if they find anyone, it's going to be Klars, who's sitting here farming and is sitting on low HP. He has not much to his name. He's going to leap to the low ground, pop his Shadow Dance for its regeneration, and get as much distance between him and that Mystic Flare as he can before getting back to the fountain. And as he hits it, he'll be nearly full health. Boomer, meanwhile, diving onto ABC here in the lane. Deliver Crush in place. They're going to drop ABC eventually, but the Shallow Grave's been cast, so he's going to continue to survive here. And so far he's living. He's running from the Mystic Flare, but it's Firestarter who have turned the tables here and killed the Slardar and the I want to say Mystic Flare, but and the Skywrath Mage, and as Allison looks to teleport away in the dire jungle, he's going to be shackled to the tree line by Kupo and ultimately fall. So it's a 3-for-0 exchange. Once again, going
Radiant's
the way
middle
of
tower is under
Firestarter,
attack.
yielding another 1,400 gold, 1,700 experience in their favor. And they're not done. Firestarter sprinting forward, looking to catch Angel Wrath here, but with the rotations coming out from Skywrath Mage and team, they're going to be in excellent position to defend this. So Firestarter looked to scatter here. Durelius committing
Radiant's
weave,
middle
but
tower
ultimately
is under
backing off
attack.
and active safety in the middle lane, where he's going to look to continue to farm out CS that he had struggled with in the laning portion of this game. Taking a quick glance at the net worth charts, you can see it was Trial and Error who led the way up until about the 13-14 minute mark, and then slowly but surely Firestarter out CS'd them for a bit, won the last big team fight in the middle lane, getting a 3-0 exchange in their favor, and took the first 3k plus advantage of this game. They're looking to extend that even. Magma throws out a hook shot onto Boomer, who was farming those neutral creeps, and while he's not able to secure the kill for himself, he does enough damage that it brings him into the lethal territory of the Zeus ult. The Zeus ult is committed, and it's a
Dire's middle
1-for-1
tower is under
exchange.
attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
Still slightly favoring the Gyrocopter, who was able to get the experience and the gold there for killing off the Clockwork. And you can see Firestarter are once again doing what they did in Game 1, which is just keep constant pressure in the enemy jungle. So there always seems to be 1 or 2 Firestarter heroes here. You can see Clarus finishing off the jungle stacks that are supposed to belong to Trial and Error, but because they have such a presence in the enemy jungle, you have 4 heroes here just kind of hanging out in the mid lane and in the mid neutrals for
Radiant's
Trial and Error,
bottom tower
who
is
are
under
afraid to
attack.
really go into their own jungle here, and justifiably so. They spot out Clarus attacking this tier 1 tower, so they know it's not too big a threat, but they need vision up in order
Dire's
to do much,
middle
and
tower
that's
is
what
under
they do.
attack.
But Clarus making
Radiant's
use of the
bottom
Shadow
tower
Blade, he's
is
going
under
to
attack.
spot out the Lich and the
Dire's
Skywrath
middle
Mage.
tower
He
has
decides he
been
wants to attack Skywrath first and goes for it. With the Zeus ult committed, it's going to be an easy 2-kill combination, and double kill going the way. Nope, it's not a double kill. It's actually Zeus who gets the last hit on
Radiant's bottom
the
tower
Skywrath
is under
Mage, even
attack.
though the bulk of the damage was already done by Clarus.
Radiant's
So
bottom tower
Clarus
has
getting
fallen.
kill for himself, and Zeus sniping another one with that ultimate. Zeus sitting on a 7-0-9 record, and this is what I was talking about with the killing power of Zeus. In the past month, according to Dotabuff, Zeus has had the highest damage per minute against enemy heroes, and I think that average was 502 damage per minute. Definitely outpacing the rest of the heroes. I think another top contender was the Shadow Fiend, who was like number 3, but it was like a full 100 damage beneath Zeus. You have Clarus, who spotted out the triple or quadruple stack of Ancients, and so he's not able to tank them. Maybe if he gets some help from his allies, he's going to be
Radiant's
able
middle
to do
tower
it.
is under attack.
We have pings coming out from both teams here, as
Radiant structures are fortified.
they do not want to lose that ancient stack on the side of Trial and Error. Gyrocopter. I'm sure it was put in place there for the
Radiant's middle tower
Gyrocopter,
has fallen.
who has the helm of the Dominator and maxed out flash cannon. So is definitely in prime position to be able to do it. consulting the Magic 8 Ball, we have Moobot saying that Radiant have a chance to win this. Yeah, people playing around with some of the Moobot games, and one of them is the Magic 8 Ball. They asked if Trial and Error are going to win this, or if they have any chance to win this, and Magic 8 Ball said yesterday it would have been a yes, but today it's a yep. So here you see 4 heroes from Firestarter hanging out in the enemy jungle, but because they rotated away from that middle lane, it is going to buy space for Rainmaker to gobble up those ancients before they are eventually stolen by Firestarter. So definitely a good call. And on the back of that, they smoke. They realize where Firestarter are at. They know they're playing aggressive. They even spot
Dire's
out
top tower is under attack.
the enemy ward coming in, but instead they spot out Klars, and that's the target they want to go for. Calldown is almost able to finish him off, but Klars playing the Slark. It's one of those heroes that's just damn difficult to bring down.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
He gets low, he eats the Mystic Flare, he eats the Slither and Crush, he ate both rockets from Calldown, but he was able to jump into his Shadow Dance
Dire's
form
top
and
tower
regenerate
is under
so much
attack.
that it bought him the space to get to the tree line here. He jumped over the tree line, and from there, since he was not visible to
Dire's
the
top
enemy here,
tower
he
is
continued
under
to
attack.
regen, and he's back to full health. From near death to full health in no time, as well as picking off more enemy stacks. So after a heavy commitment from Trial and Error to try to smoke gank, there's just nothing for them, as the Slark's able to get away, and that's the kill that they desperately need. Because taking a look at the net worth charts, you have Slark leading the game at 10,800 net worth. So once again, net worth chart keeping pretty balanced up through the first 24 minutes here. You have I missed the kill apparently. Oh, Ember Spirit destroyed a tower. So I missed the tower that he got. But it does bring the net worth chart back into more or less neutral territory. We are at a slight lead in favor of Firestarter at just about 6k, but 25 minutes into the game, that is nothing. But it's, I think, once again, one of those games where once one of these teams starts rolling up some lanes, it's going to go from 0 to 100 very quickly. Magma and Klars both spotting out the gyrocopter, committing the hook shot, the leap, and the Zeus ult is going to bring him down in no time. So it's going to put the hard carry for Trial and Error out of commission for 44 seconds, it looked like, and buy Firestarter more time to farm up on the enemy side of the map. Just taking a look at the map, you can kind of see where the new line is. It's not the river anymore, it's right around there. Firestarter owning about
Radiant's
2/3 of the
middle
map.
tower is under attack.
Most of the enemy jungle, the enemy ancients, are constantly being contested here. Allison is going to be caught out by Klars, and 1, 2, 3 clicks is all it takes for Klars to clear through him there. He did commit the Pounce and the Dark Pact, and Zephyr trying desperately to zone out the Slark, committing every spell he had, but Klars doesn't care. He's a Slark. He'll get away, he'll get into the shadows, he'll regen whatever damage the Skywrath was able to output as a support hero, and then head back to the lane and farm up those
Dire's
creeps.
bottom tower is under attack.
So, right now you have to find a way to lock down the Slardar and mitigate some of the Zeus damage. Zeus sitting on top of Boots of Travel and a Blink Dagger, so again, looking for some of that high mobility. You have Force Staff on Kupo, so not quite as mobile as they were in game 1, but enough. Boomer overshooting his Link Dagger a little bit. He is able to get the amp damage onto Slark. Retreats back to the safety of his allies. So there's 4 Firestarter heroes here, and they're sitting on top of increased armor because of the weave, so I think they're going to be saved earliest. Also has Shallow Grave ready to be Johnny on the spot with that. We have our first pause of the match as Firestarter are having some internet issues. So this gives us a brief moment to once again take a look at the items everyone's going. You have Gyrocopter, who is sitting on the helm of the Dominator, as well as a BKB. He's used one of the 5 major charges, so it starts at a 10-second duration and ultimately ends up at a 5-second one. So right now he's sitting on 9 seconds, which isn't too bad, especially 27 minutes into the game. It's going to allow him to dodge some of that Zeus damage, the slow from Duralius, and that's about it. I mean, sure, you mitigate the rocket from Clockwork, but that's not really what he's concerned about. All Clockwork's going to be looking to do is hookshot, stun, and trap people in cogs, and BKB doesn't do much to mitigate you from being trapped in a cog hell, a cog prison. Angel Wrath is sitting on a Battle Fury and a Crystallis, so he has that cleave damage, that crit, and of course those boots of travel that make the whole build possible. And hopefully the internet issues have been fixed, as both teams are saying they are good to go here. As we approach the 30-minute mark here of Team Firestarter versus Trial and Error. Those of you just tuning in, this is the AD2L Season 9 Championship game. So winner of this is proclaimed the High Victor of Season 9. Trial and Error down 1 game in this best of 3 series, and hoping to even the score here as they smoke up and head into the enemy jungle. Not a lot up here right now for them to find, as the bulk of Team Firestarter are actually hanging out in their jungle once again. They've pinged out the Claws, they know he's down there, and they'll probably have seen ABC now as he steps forward as well. So you have the pings coming out from Rainmaker saying that's where they're at, guys. So both teams content to just farm one another's jungle for now. At least with this rotation into the Dire jungle, there is some farming space for Rainmaker and Boomer to recover on the net worth charts here. But Firestarter looking to apply pressure to the tier 2 tower is going to force some rotations, as Allison is the first to rotate down and protect it. ABC surging forward is going to put the pressure on him. Luckily, Lich had the Force Staff and was able to force himself down to the low. But not enough rotation in time to save this tier 2 tower, and instead it's going to be Boomer and Rainmaker looking to make it a 1-for-1 trade and take this tower themselves, but Firestarter aren't done, and they're pushing quite a bit faster than Trial and Error. So although they'll be able to eventually secure the tier 2 tower themselves thanks to Tardy, they're going to be forced into an early rotation into the bottom lane, where the fight has already broken out, which is the first to fall. The BKB popped by Rainmaker's going to secure the kill against Slark, and so that's a big one for him. Trading the Lich for a Slark. The Shackle comes out onto Angel Wrath, and it does latch as Firestarter are trying to make their escape here. But it looks like Duralius, at the very least, will be caught out here as Kupo and Magma look to teleport to safety. Boomer juking the Slithering Crush there is going to be just a little bit shy in terms of getting there in time. So they secure 2 kills in exchange for the damage to the tier 3 tower and for the life of their Lich, but that is a trade they will be happy to make. It also buys them the time and space they need to head into the Roche Pit, but you're going to have the power shot coming out from Wind Ranger, nearly killing Boomer. and the rocket coming out from Clockwork is nearly going to kill the Skywrath Mage, who eventually surges his way forward, and popping the Blade Mail is going to get the return damage necessary to kill Skywrath, as well as land the hookshot cogs onto the gyrocopter, and it's going to be a 2-for-0 exchange. I don't know where Lich died. That one, I'm guessing he died to Zeus somewhere? He died way down here.
Tower is under attack.
So I'm not sure how that one came to be.
That
That one I'll have to check the replays myself. Angel Wrath being zoned out of the middle lane by a solo Zeus as he teleports to the middle lane and blinks forward. But Boomer's here, eyeballing ABC, who's sitting at 600 HP, but ultimately decides he's going to sprint away and back off. I think he should be able to take that fight. The stun alone is worth 225 damage, and you can throw the amp damage out there, and if you're able to catch him before he BKBs, he should be fish food. But of course, Firestarter have been traveling in a pack, as you can see in the Radiant jungle again. You have 3 Firestarter heroes clumped up right next to each other. Magma not far away, ready to hookshot in wherever he's needed. And it's Trial and Error heading into the Dire jungle to find some space to farm for themselves. Zephyr, meanwhile, he sees the creep wave up here, he sees his allies in the jungle, and he's just trying to keep in a position that allows him to get wherever he needs to go safely. He's working towards a mechanism, but it is late. We are 32 minutes into the game and it's not completed yet. So it looks like he should have the cash, but he might be saving buyback just in case Firestarter look to push into the high ground here. Lars is going to eat one of the homing missiles, but pops a dark pact, and that negates the stun as soon as it lands. So he eats a little bit of damage, but you can see him just step away from the creep wave, and he has 122 HP regen per second once he gets out of vision.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
As well as what can only be imagined is an actual looks to make a go here against Angel Wrath, who eats big shackle shot against Lich, but the Mystic Flare from Skywrath Mage landing against both the Wind Ranger and Claws, and is going to force the retreat from Firestarter here, who has lost their Dazzle, and Claws and Magma looking to re-engage here into the Trial and Error lineup.
You think you caught me?
They're able to kill 2. They get the Lich and they get the Gyrocopter at the expense of just the Dazzle and that Aegis. So Angel Wrath still very much in play here, and Boomer and Zephyr head back into the fountain to regenerate their health and mana to be able to stage defense here. You only have 3 heroes from Firestarter looking to make this siege happen, as ABC has retreated with his low mana back into the enemy jungle to farm up a little bit, and that is going to force a retreat out from Firestarter. This time Trial and Error much more reluctant to chase uphill and get into another big team fight encounter, as Zeus is headed back to base, regenerated his mana, and got enough for Thunder God's Wrath. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the Zeus cosmetics there, but when I select them, every once in a while, you saw that weird boxy shape. Clar's engaging in a 1 versus 4 fight, it looks like. He's going to go sprinting away into the enemy jungle where he farms a little bit. He uses Dark Pact, but
Radiant's middle tower
It's not
is
going
under
to be
attack.
timed appropriately for the missile. The second one eventually will be. But it's Dazzle in the top lane here who's going to be
Radiant's
dropped
middle
to the
tower
Ember
is under
Spirit
attack.
as Trial and Error are looking to push high ground themselves, doing some damage to this top tower, while the Slark, and what's usually Slark, Clockwork, and Zeus in the bottom lane look to apply pressure to the tier 3 tower in the bot lane. It's Ember Spirit applying pressure to the tier 3 tower up top.
Double damage!
Gyrocopter grabbing the double damage rings, heading to the Ancients and farm those up. But he's going to be spotted out by Clar as they pass each other. Clar's looking for a way to get down there, but not going to be there in time. Magma eventually does catch him with a hook shot. Dropping the call down is going to force the Clockwork back to the safety of his allies.
Dire's bottom
Punch the enemy heroes here to make him go on Zephyr. He gets him, but he eats the homing missile stun and a big Mystic Flare, so it's going to be essentially a 1-for-1 trade there. Slark trades his life away for the Skywrath Mage, and they are able to catch out Slardar behind these cogs as well. So they make a go at him and eventually drop him. Duralius looking to teleport himself to safety underneath the protection of his shallow grave, and he's able to get out. So it's a at least 2-for-1 trade as they drop Boomer and the Skywrath Mage in exchange for the Slark. It's not a trade I think you want to make. The Skywrath Mage isn't really worth much to you, and the Slark is what you want to have in the game. Meanwhile, the Lich fell once again, and I missed wherever he dropped. So, Allison's being picked off quietly in the background here as I'm focused on the heavy-hitting cores going toe-to-toe with one another, and I think that's exactly what Firestarter are trying to accomplish. Pull the attention away from some of the backline supports from Trial and Error and pick them off in secret. But now the tables have started to turn. And you can see the vision is starting to be reduced from Firestarter. And they're down to about 1/3 of the map themselves in terms of vision, most of their lanes being pushed into their territory. And it's Trial and Error who are sitting clumped together on the enemy side of the map, and they spot out Magma here in the middle lane, who makes a go at him. Utilizing the Blink Dagger into the Slithering Crush, and they're still chasing after him. Hookshot slightly off the mark, and that second Crush is going to be enough, combined with the damage of Ember Spirit, to secure the kill against Clockwork. But Clar's ever on the hunt. It is up. Look to make a go against Boomer here. The Basher proccing at just the right time is going to slow Slardar down enough that he was actually in danger, but he sprints away, and after getting the crush off, he's going to be safe. Clar's leaping once again, this time slightly off the mark, so it's not going to latch onto the Rainmaker. And both Gyrocopter and Slardar are going to be able to escape the hunting eye of Clar's. But meanwhile, the rest of Team Firestarter are back at their base, forced to deal with this constant pressure from Ember Spirit, who's now picked up a Lincoln Spear. So he has yet another level of defensive capabilities that make him difficult to lock down as well. So we have Battle of the Squirrely Heroes here. Both Lars and Ember Spirit are difficult to lock down. Lars popping a Shadow Dance, but it's not going to be enough. Zephyr is starting to land these Mystic Flares on point against the Slark, and it's just starting to tear through him. So even though he's invisible, it doesn't matter when you drop those AoE capabilities. You saw after the Mystic Flare was tossed and Shadow Dance was popped right around here, you had call down placed here, so even if Klars wanted to retreat back to the safety of his base, he would have to walk through a call down, which wasn't a great option, or head deeper into enemy territory where a number of Trial and Error members were awaiting him.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Now you have Angel Wrath over here in the bottom lane pushing the tier 2 tower.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Getting that pretty quick before jumping back to the rest of his allies, who are going to be able to drop this gyrocopter pretty much uncontested. You have Zeus, who went over to the Sacred Shop to finish off his Scythe of Vice, so he's going to have that to play with here, and hopefully lock down some of the heroes. But Trial and Error getting stronger and stronger as the game goes on here, and you can see what once was a 10k lead, which isn't that much at the 30-minute mark, in favor of Firestarter, is starting to spike a lot more towards Trial and Error, who have now grouped up, and I think they're feeling strong enough, especially sitting on top of an invisibility rune on Angel Wrath and the Aegis on Gyrocopter, to possibly stage their first
Coming in.
uphill contest against Team Firestarter. Take a 10-second break here. Well, maybe I won't, as Trial and Error have smoked up into the Secret Shop here, and they're pinging out ABC as they see him retreat, but Firestarter knows something's up and they back into the high ground of their base here. But Magma's spotted out, and he's actually going to kite the dangerous team of Firestarter over to where Klars was farming. It's the it's the Slard who ultimately pays here. And Magma trying his best to make his escape here between Cause and Hookshot. He's eventually going to be caught out by Boomer, who blinks forward and plants the stun. Shallow Graves on point, but the Force Staff coming out from, I don't even know whose Force Staff it was. I think Windranger trying to get Clockwork onto the high ground. Made it so that right click landed after the Shallow Grave had broken, and it cost Clockwork his life. Klars buys back, however, as Firestarter look to make a defense here. And so far they have killed 3.5, 3 in an Aegis, and they make it officially 4 as ABC is able to secure a godlike kill streak for himself. And Kupo teleporting to this bottom lane here is going to get nearly one-shot by Angel as the Sleight of Fist is tossed out. ABC utilizing his new Scythe of Ice though, and they reduced the armor of Angel Wrath, who already had a Fire Remnant sitting in the wings, and he's going to just retreat back to the safety of his base as the rest of his team had fallen in the top lane and cost a buyback from Klars. But definitely, you can see as the chart continues to approach the 0 gold mark, Klars and ABC looking to make a go on Ember Spirit here, but he just blinks back to one of his Fire Remnants. Alright, now hopefully there's a brief pause in the action here so I can take a quick drink. 1 second.
I'll take that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And I'm back. Sorry about that, I had a little Marco Rubio going. Now Klars looking to make another go here against the Ember Spirit, but if he's learned anything, he's going to be able to get away. But this time ABC is there to lock him down between the Scythe of Vice committing the ultimate and everything. But Klars versus Boomer sitting underneath the Mystic Flare is going to take quite a toll against Klars, who ultimately is able to escape. So it's a 3-for-0 exchange, make it 4, as ABC is able to secure a godlike streak, as well as an ultra kill coming out from Klars as he kills 4 out of the 5 enemy heroes. And that's a full team wipe. And a massive, what is that for? 5,000 gold swing heading in favor of Firestarter, as well as a 9,000 experience swing. As both teams were able to output the same amount of damage, but it was Firestarter able to split that damage up just enough to keep Klars alive and,
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
still in the fight. So they heal up with the Dazzle and look to push high ground here. Ember Spirit buys back everyone else, has about 5 seconds until their respawn timer. Cogs coming out from Magma, but that's just going to lock him in place for a deadly Mystic Flare. Taking up, dropping him to about 400 health, and ABC's nearly caught out there. He's able to utilize an excellent Yules into Blink combo, escaping the Slithering Crush from Boomer and get to the high ground near the middle lane. So both teams able to mount effective defenses against one another here, as Firestarter look to push into the top lane of, or Trial and Error look to push into the top lane of Firestarter, and Firestarter, after taking a big team fight, look to capitalize on the downtime and force buybacks out of Trial and Error by applying pressure to the top lane. Bottom tower has been ratted down to 493 HP as Emperor Spirit has been teleporting around playing some Rat Dodo. But right now it's anybody's game. It's the scoreboard is showing a bit of a lead for a Firestarter as they're up 40-18 in terms of kills here at the 48-minute mark. But kills don't necessarily win Dota games. It's objective gaming. It's the towers, it's the thrones. So if Trial and Error are able to continue what they've been doing, and oh, looks like you had smoke coming out from Firestarter here. So I think this team fight's going to be very decisive in terms of what happens to the next set of racks. If Firestarter are able to find and drop Angel Wrath here, he's not going to have buyback, and that's going to put one of their key damage dealers out of commission for quite a while. It looks like the smoke's going to bust, and Firestarter. Oh, was that the ultimate? Yep, ultimate coming out from Zeus. He had circled the map saying, hey, they're probably hanging out in our jungle, but that wasn't the case. They were just hanging out in defensive positions behind their tier 2 mid, and Trial and Error likely knew something was up, something was fishy, as there is nobody on the map right now visible from Firestarter. So after the Zeus ult, they decide, let's group up, let's head down the middle lane, and Team Firestarter are sitting in their team speak or their Ventrilo because they heard the plan, and they set up defensive positions in their middle lane.
Boom, there it goes.
Oh. Sorry about that, Donkey with hacks. Yeah, so the imp image was actually from the draft screen. I didn't realize it had actually carried over to the in-game screen, covering up some of the in-game items here. It was a joke that Trial and Error didn't have their team logo present, so I just gave them a quick imp image. Boomer blinking forward, trying to get this invisibility rune. He is going to find it, but he's also going to find the entirety of Team Firestarter. And he gets melted. The call down coming out from Gyrocopter, trying to buy him some space and safety, but it's not going to be able to make it over the ledge there, as Firestarter now have their chance to do Roshan plus Cheese for their next big team fight.
Roshan has fallen to the dark.
Huge hook shot coming out from Magma as he finds Rainmaker near the Ancients and makes a go on him. He's popped the BKB, but now he's surrounded by Claws, Magma, and ABC, and they're going to be able to drop and get the call down off. But every time Trial and Error step away from the safety of their tier 2s here, it looks like they're getting caught out. And honestly, I don't know how Magma saw that, because they didn't have a ward over there. I think that was just a blind hook from the middle lane up to here, and it found its target, and it found a Gyrocopter. Twitch chat knows all, huh? The Twitch chat is the Illuminati. That's one thing I have noticed about Twitch, and Twitch chat specifically. It is the most knowledgeable place on the internet. It's also the friendliest, and the most morally correct. I think is how I would best describe Twitch chat overall. Knowledgeable, informed, kind, sharing, all proper adjectives for Twitch chat. Looks like Firestarter are content to just drag this game out. What once was nearly a null advantage for either team has once again slingshotted back down in favor of Firestarter. If they've taken a couple key back-to-back team fights and pickoffs, picking off Boomer, picking off Rainmaker, picking off Angel Wrath, and just dropping those cores enough that they've gotten back into the game, and they've brought up their overall net worth. Leading the charts, though, is still the Ember Spirit, who has finished off Daedalus, Battle Fury, Lincoln Sphere, Abyssal Blade, and Boots of Travel. He has that open space that once belonged to, that was once a position for the Aegis, but now he's got space and 8K. So he's got buyback plus 5,000. So he should look to make use of that golden one way or another, because sitting as it is, it's not helping him at all. He does have buyback. It's come off of cooldown now, so he'll be ready to go twice here in this fight. He picks up a Demon Edge, and I wonder if we're going to see the first Divine of the match here. I think he wants to wait until he has definitive buyback. Firestarter here taking up positions, and they let Kupo go into the foreground here and focus fire down the melee racks. And as she's attacked, it's Klars who surges forward and buys space for Kupo. And Firestarter are just kind of keeping at an arm's length here as Trial and Error try to force them back, try to poke them down, but I don't know if Trial and Error are going to be able to survive a prolonged siege here. You have Zeus's Static Field and Arc Lightning able to start to whittle away Trial and Error's life, as well as Duralius, who's able to constantly heal up his allies, not only on the back of his heal mechanic, but he also has the Guardian Greaves now, Magma,
Radiant structures
landing
are fortified.
a hook shot into his blade mail, but all that's going to do so far is get him killed as the Chain Frost is thrown onto Klars and bounces to Duralius. Kupo's left in the background there, and it's going to be 2-0 as Firestarter look to make their retreat here, having dropped the melee set of barracks. So
I'll take that.
now you have Ember Spirit looking to make space in this middle lane here as he teleports mid. He does have the Divine, and so the split push is going to be coming out from Angel and team. It looks like he jumps back to his Fire Remnant, leaves one behind for safekeeping, and is going to be joining his team. Checking the buyback status of these two fallen heroes. Clockwork is able to buy back, as is the Wind Ranger, but I think they're going to try to have to hold onto it for now. So even with the kill advantage being 2-1 in favor of Firestarter and sitting on top of a 15,000 net worth advantage, it's Trial and Error who are on the offensive. They've smoked up, they've spotted out ABC and Duralius.
I know I can trust you guys.
But they decide to back off, and I wonder if this is Trial and Error playing a little too passive. They have the Divine. They may just want to wait for Roshan to come up, is my guess. Ember Spirit picking up the Tier 2 Boots of Travel, so this is going to be Rat Dodo at its finest, I feel. Firestarter have smoked up themselves, and they're going to look to catch Ember Spirit out here, but before they're even close, Angel senses danger and teleports himself back to a Fire Remnant, places another one back in base, teleports to the bot lane. I missed whatever writing it was. But Lich was writing out a message on the map there. It looked like something something feeder. Yeah, I'm not sure who that one was directed to. Zeus using his ultimate to scout out Team Firestarter's location, and it's not going to provide him much intel, just that they're all back at base, and you have the Pudge Troll emoticon coming out, saying, "That mech." Oh, did they mech? Yeah, they meched immediately after the Zeus ult. Say, "Nope, even that, we don't want your damage." I'm a little bit surprised to see that nobody from Trial and Error has yet picked up a pipe. Zeus, with his support build, has gone a bit more utility. He has the Scythe, he has the Lotus, he has the BKB, Eul's Blink. He doesn't have anything that makes his ultimate too deadly. You don't have the artillery build, as my friends and I like to call it, which is the Aghanims into Refresher, where you just pound them with lightning. And with the addition of Octarine Core, it reduces the cooldown of all of that stuff. So, the heavy artillery build. And it makes his damage output a little less potent, so maybe the pipe isn't really needed, since they're able to just sustain through the damage now and pop a mech every time they see that ultimate. Yeah, Duralius calling out. possible enemy locations here, suggesting the team group up here on the high ground. He has a number of wards on him, but it's ABC who's just kind of running around, throwing lightning everywhere, trying to make sure the enemy has no vision whatsoever. And right now, neither team does. Right now, there is one ward on the map, and it's the one that was just placed. But that's what's kept both teams highly defensive. You can see all of Trial and Error hanging out at their tier 2 tower middle, and that's because they don't see anyone from Fire and Starter out on the map. Meanwhile, Firestarter all on their side, and now that you start to see, you see Klars on the map, and he's one of the most dangerous ones out there. He's sitting on the Abyssal Blade, Moon Shard, and the Butterfly. They start to move forward, and it looks like they poke their head into Roshan, who is not yet spawned, and this is what they're waiting for. Clockwork fires a rocket into the Roche pit, trying to spot out the Roche respawn themselves. But until then, both teams just kind of farming the lanes, pushing the lanes into each other's territory. And at 61 minutes, 53 seconds, Roshan has respawned, and it's going to be Trial and Error who spotted out first, as Boomer spots it and heads in himself. But the rocket coming out from Clockwork is going to put him in vision for Firestarters, and it's the pressure coming out from Firestarter against this top lane that's actually going to force the retreat from Trial and Error. And I think this is a smart move. They're not going to be able to rotate over to the Roshan pit in time, so instead they threaten these barracks top, and Trial and Error know that they can't afford to lose top barracks in addition to the melee barracks in the bottom lane that they've already lost, because it would likely be mega creeps if they wanted to trade the barracks for Roshan. And instead, they just buy space and head into the Roche pit themselves, but Trial and Error know this is going on. They smoke up right before the rocket arrives, so I don't think Firestarter know about this. Boomer's going to sprint forward, but he gets caught out by Magma, who lands the hookshot combination. Boomer is going to get 4-step forward, catches Deralis, but ultimately he falls, and Allison throws out the Chain Frost, which is bouncing between some of the support heroes here in the background, but Roshan has already fallen, and it's Klars and ABC who start to clean up the Trial and Error lineup, and they're able to drop 4, not quite 5, as Ember Spirit's able to retreat back to base with his Divine, so that has not fallen yet, and it's a 4-0 exchange, plus the coveted Roshan heading over to Team Firestarter, and that may just be enough to secure them the game here as they look to push forward with Slark sitting on the Aegis and Magma sitting on the Cheese. They rotate into the top lane with creeps in base, and Klars is going to speedily right-click these barracks down. There's only 2 now free opposing heroes able to contest the push from Firestarter. But I don't know that's going to be enough. You have Gyrocopter buying back here and surging forward as Boomer and Klars are going at it head-to-head, and they eventually do drop the Slark, but the Slithering Crush slightly mistimed, so he's going to be able to respawn, jump into a Shadow Dance, and right-click down the Slardar, and it's fish-on-fish crime as Slardar's eventually killed off by the Slark. Into the bottom lane, you have Gyrocopter trying to push off the creep wave, but that's another 2 wrecks. So you have the melee, the tier 3 tower in the middle lane, the melee barracks in the middle lane, and the ranged wrecks in the top lane, all falling. So you have 3 barracks left standing for a Trial and Error, but it's spread across 3 different lanes. So all 3 of these lanes are going to be increased to a certain extent. You have the super melee creeps in the top and bottom lane, and you have the super ranged creeps in the top lane, which, although aren't much, it's still going to push that equilibrium closer and closer to trial and error. And because of that, Firestarter know they have a distinct advantage here, but between the Gyrocopter and the Ember Spirit, they are going to be able to contest some of these super creeps. Maybe even mega creeps. But it's just going to get that much harder for trial and error at this point. They've doubled up on the Divines. They've put the Abyssal into the stash, and it's double Divine time here on the Ember Spirit. And you have Slardar sitting at 8k net worth, so he's picked up a Blink Dagger and a Force Staff, so again emulating the Firestarter strategy with the Slardar from game 1, where they used him as a high mobility initiation hero. But he's struggled this game, as he is 1-14 and he's been the target of a lot of the lightning bolts from Zeus, and having to be the initiation for his team is front and center against the high damage output Zeus and Slark, as I mentioned before. Zeus being one of the highest damage per minute heroes. Hero damage, that is. Heroes in the game right now. Team Firestarter smoke up and they go through the Radiant Jungle looking for a possible pickoff, but they know the ultimate goal of this isn't the pickoffs, it's the objectives, and they head into the enemy base. You have Angel Wrath being attacked here by the Clockwork, but Ember's going to just jump back to base as the rest of Firestarter focus on the objectives and take down the last remaining ranged racks in the bottom lane. So there are 2 racks left standing. Trial and error as Firestarter kind of just circle around right now, looking for their opportunities. The hookshot slightly off the mark, missing Angel Wrath there. And it's the final stand here, I feel, for trial and error, as Team Firestarter have circled, made a semicircle around the top and middle lane here, forcing all 5 heroes to protect these remaining 2 towers, while the bottom lane continues to surge forward and chip away at some of these buildings, these quote-unquote buildings, unnamed buildings, and some of the effigies behind them. Firestarter continuing the slow siege tactics here. But between Ember Spirit and the Gyrocopter, again, I think these heroes are going to be able to contest it for quite a while. But Slark using his Shadow Blade to move forward and gather some intel as their positionings. And now Kupo running forward, poking the tower, forcing all 5 heroes to respond to the middle lane. And it's just they're base locked right now. Weave coming out from Duralius on 4 of the allied heroes here. He's going to beef up their armor. We'll look to see if they want to do anything with this. What Claris wants to do is farm. You can see that Weave ticking up to plus 50 armor here, so Clockwork's getting himself to about 55 armor at the end of the Weave. While it negates a ton of damage, it may not negate the double Divine. You have the Javelins. You have this Ember Spirit's pretty much 8-slotted at this point. He's 1 step away from buying his own courier and just kind of shuttling around the Linken's to cast on himself and then put back onto the courier, and I think that's what he should be doing at this point. That courier is not worth anything. Dazzle, meanwhile, carrying a gem. So, as if the Sentry Wards and a Zeus were not enough, they're going to have Perma True Sight over on the side of Team Firestarter. Clockwork still sitting on top of his cheese. I believe the Divine, or not the Divine, the Aegis has been claimed already, and it has. Taking a look at levels here. Slardar sitting on level 17, just one level above the Lich, who's 4 and 16 himself, so the level disparity here is definitely causing some issues. Slark finding himself Illusion Rune is going to send those illusions into the ranged barracks where it does some chip damage and drops it down to 950 as the entirety of Firestarter are forced to deal with the illusions. Courier shuttling out a smoke to Team Firestarter. They smoke inside of the Radiant mid jungle there, and looks like they're going to head back to their positions, their semicircle positions, and possibly force a fight here. If they do catch the Skywrath, I think that'll be an easy kill for them. And they do hook onto him. Bars engages, and they just melt through the Skywrath Mage. Gyrocopter gets 4-stabbed forward, pops the BKB, throws out the call down, but it's Klars in the back lines here, providing heavy right-click damage, and they're just kind of kiting around the Ember Sphere right now, trying to prevent any engagement from him. And in the middle lane, you have a few of the Firestarter heroes focused on objective Dota as they bring down the ranged racks and then turn their focus onto the last remaining melee racks in the top lane, but aren't able to secure it as they need to make a retreat. It's Klars and Magma right now facing off against Boomer, Rainmaker, and the Divined Ember. But they disengage, they take one more Rax, and then there was one. Gem of True Sight dropped, and ABC is continuing his reign of 0 deaths as he's gone 14-0 and 29. While Zeus himself doesn't have a huge attack range in terms of his right click damage, it's at 350 attack range. The range of his spells is pretty substantial. Hookshot being launched into this bottom area, trying to spot out Boomer, but it's slightly off the mark. Clockwork does have a gem, so even with the invisibility rune that Slardar was able to pick up, that would not be enough to save him if that hook had landed. Yeah, the spells from Zeus are definitely a solid range, and you combine that with the fact that he has a blink dagger and that pretty much extends his effective range. And another 1500 or so, he can throw out some lightning, then blink back to safety. And it looks like both teams have spotted out this Roshan yet again, and they're looking to make a go of it. Magma hookshotting forward is going to be caught out by the Mystic Flare, but the rest of the Team Firestarter are right behind him, and the cogs are blocking him out for now. But Boomer blinks forward into enemy territory. He gets a stun off on Kupo and Klars, but all that's going to do is buy him a couple more seconds of life. He eventually falls. Now Magma lands another hook shot, pops Cogs and Blade Mail, but he eventually falls himself. But he's the only one to fall And Ember Spirit, nearly getting caught out by Klars at the end of that battle, is going to jump back to one of his remnants, but not all the way back to base. And now you have Klars dropping multiple items. You have one Divine Rapier still on the deck here. You have one on Klars. You have Duralius trying to protect it right now, I guess. He's waiting for someone else to come get it. But he eventually picks it up himself, so it's going to be a Divine Dazzle, as well as a Divine Slark. So, Ember Spirit returning back to his original 2 items. He's got the Abyssal Blade that has been hanging out in the stash for a while, as well as a newly formed Monkey King Bar. The Courier coming out, collecting a number of gems. He's going to start opening up his own jewelry shop here pretty soon. And Slark spotting out the Roshan, but deciding not to do it for some reason. I think I would... Strangely, the BKB is still at an 8-second duration, so I figured that would be shorter 76 minutes into the game, but it's not. And he spots out the Roshan. He'll probably be doing it here because Trial and Error are base locked. They have some vision outside of their base in the form of this top lane, heading into the Firestarter base, and ABC Duralius are up there to protect it. So you have the Jeweler Courier stopping by over at Roshan. I'm not quite sure why. But Klars is going to go ahead and start beating on this Roshan Magma, hooking in to stun him. Didn't think they would be given the Aegis to the Clockwork, but probably the cheese. I like to see, especially with the upgraded Boots of Travel, Slark has consumed the Moon Shard, and he leaves both of the items on the deck here. So there's still a cheese in the Roche Pit. Kupo picks up the Aegis, and yet another Divine makes its way into the game as Ember Spirit picks up the 3rd Divine of the game for himself, and puts what once was the Abyssal Blade. Looks like he broke that down into its component parts and put the Basher into the stash and picked up another Divine for himself. But if it was difficult to defend your base before, it's going to be nearly impossible now, because Team Firestarter have a Divine on Klars. They have a strange Divine on Duralius's Dazzle. So Dazzle now hitting for nearly 500 damage on the back of an Aghanims plus Divine. The Rapier Dazzle, new meta. As currently 3. They're waiting on the rest of their team here. 4, and now you got Quorum with all 5 Firestarter heroes heading into the top lane here. They want to be careful not to give up the Divines. Again, back to the hands of Trial and Error. But if they can sneak in and drop this melee barracks, that will be Mega Creeps. And once Mega Creeps are out, again, it's not GG. Trial and Error have been fighting an uphill battle tooth and nail since about the 40-minute mark here, and we're approaching what's a 60k gold lead for Firestarter, which I believe is the largest gold lead I've ever cast. 60,000 gold lead in favor of Firestarter 80 minutes into the game, and part of that gold lead is in the form of those 2 Divines that were stolen away from the Ember Spirit. But it's also compliments of the 55 to 24 kill lead in favor of Firestarter. Klars jumping forward, finding Glitch, just right-clicking him 2 times behind the Zeus ultimate. It's going to be enough to kill him. They also had Magma catching out the Gyrocopter. That's going to be enough to drop him. They claim the barracks, and for now they fall back. And it's Angel Wrath surging forward, looking to make an attack of his own, a counterattack, but he ultimately falls, dropping the 3rd Divine of the game onto the deck. Klars drops the BKB, picks it up, and GG is eventually called here at the 80-minute mark. as Firestarter take Game 2 in this best-of-3 series and proclaim themselves the champions of the AD2L Season 9 Heroic Bracket. It's been a fun run. It's been a great series to cast. Firestarter ending the game with 3 Divines, all of which were purchased previously by Ember Spirit. Going into that 80, like the 75-minute mark, they had nearly a 60k gold lead. Bloody game from start to finish. Kudos to Trial and Error, who fought it tooth and nail for the entirety of the match. They lost the first lane of Rex relatively early in the game, and it didn't really seem to slow them down much, even into losing the second lane of Rex, where they had lost the ranged racks in the top and the melee racks in the middle. They still stuck it out, and they still put up a fighting chance. I think if just 1 or 2 of those team fights around the 40, 50, 60 minute mark had gone the other way, it would have provided Trial and Error the opening that they needed to push high ground. Again, Roshan came into the conversation multiple times there, not only to get the Aegis for each team, but to help protect some of those Divines. And ultimately, it was always Team Firestarter able to pick off just 1 or 2 heroes and create the space they needed to get Roshan a couple more times than Trial and Error were able to do so. So they pull off a win here in Game 2, and once again, they are going to be your champions of the Heroic Bracket in AD2L Season 9. Thank you all very much for tuning in. My name is Darmin. I've been coming to you live, as always, from twitch.tv/DarminCast. It's been a great series to cast. Thank you very much to Firestarter and Trial and Error for having me for this championship matchup, and throughout the season, as I've cast a few games for them before this. But please, as always, feel free to watch, subscribe, like, share, follow, all that good stuff, and let me know what I can do to improve my casting. And I hope to see all of you again in next season's AD2L matchup. It's going to be Season 10, I believe, beginning the middle of January. Between now and then, they are going to be hosting a Dota 2 charity tournament over this weekend, where it's going to be a full day of casting, a full day of Dota, all in the name of charity. So please get out there, join a team, make a team, follow the channels, all of that stuff. It's for a good cause, and I will see you guys around in the near future, including in some of those charity tournaments. And until then, have fun, good luck, and keep buying Divine Rapiers, I guess. It's always fun. Alright, take care, and I will see you guys all again soon.